家好，欢迎收看《旁观华尔街视角》。游戏驛站这个事件现在似乎已经接近尾声了，但是这个事件对投资人以及关注投资市场的民众的心目中还是造成了相当大的冲击。那么大家都在寻找答案，为什么这个事件会发生，而且发生的如此之快，规模如此之大，对金融市场也造成了相当大的震荡。这个星期三，我有幸专访了麻省理工学院的数字经济学以及产业信息学教授阿哎尔博士。他最近刚出版一本新书《The Hype Machine》。在这种书当中，他深刻分析了社交网站对美国的大选、经济以及公共健康造成了哪些影响，同时也分析在这种情况下我们也怎样因应以及适应这个新的状况，适应他提出的新的挑战。那么接下来呢，我们从几个方面呢就进行了讨论。首先就是要认知一下社交网站目前在我们生活当中都造成哪些影响。
The book tries to offer about how it works and how it affects our democracies, our economies, as we saw this week with GameStop, and our public health, as we see with misinformation about coronavirus and about measles before that. And the book tries to offer solutions.
接下来的问题是，就这次游戏驿站的这个事件，社交网站起了哪些角色呢？
I think social media is an essential part of this story. I don't think it's possible to motivate, organize, and coordinate simultaneous stock purchases to the tune of millions of people without social media. Social media is affecting real-world events in our democracies, our economies, and in our public health at unprecedented scale and speed today. And what we saw on January 6th with the Capitol riot, what we saw with the GameStop stock price, and what we're seeing, for instance, with Dodger Stadium vaccination site being shut down by anti-vax protesters over the weekend, just in the United States, and this is just in the last 2 weeks, is essentially tied to how social media scales and spreads information and coordination of these types of activities. The common thread through all of these activities is the rise of crowd power, and that is made possible by social media.
如果说社交网站能够有这么大的威力，而且能有这么大的推动力的话，是不是最安全起见，应该像这样的社交网站应该予以取缔？
No, not at all. In fact, what my book describes and the thesis of the book is that social media has tremendous promise. It is a communication technology like any other, but it also provides the human race a new form of communication that has unprecedented potential to bring good into the world. And I describe in the book numerous examples of that. Just to name a couple, when Nepal experienced the greatest earthquake in the last 100 years, Europe and the U.S. donated something like 12 or 10 or 12 million dollars in relief efforts, and Facebook spun up a donate now button and raised 15.5 million people from 770,000 individual donors in 145 countries. The Ice Bucket Challenge, though some people laugh at it, raised $250 million with a B for ALS research in 8 weeks. Research at MIT and at Stanford shows that Facebook creates $370 billion of consumer surplus every year in the United States alone, and that's just in the US. In some parts of the world, Facebook is the internet, in the Philippines, in parts of Africa, and we get value from finding jobs, from running our small businesses, finding meaningful human connections, staying in touch with our loved ones, life-saving health information, all flows over social media. It gives us unprecedented ability to coordinate social movements. But as we've seen in recent weeks, it also has the potential for tremendous peril. So the point of my book is, how do we achieve the promise but avoid the peril? And that's really why I wrote the book. And shutting down social media is not only not productive, but it's not possible.
好，如果我们要保持社交网站的良性作用，同时又要避免它的负面作用的话，怎么样维持这个秩序呢？是不是要严格的审核？ 所有的言论、所有的推文，而一般情况下要进行严格的 censorship， 也就是说审核制。
No, it's absolutely not censorship that is going to create the promise. I believe that free speech is an essential cornerstone of democracy and civil society. I believe that we need to maintain the freedom of speech on social media as much as possible, but at the same time, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. You can't. Incitements to violence are not protected speech, and we need to figure out how do we draw the line between harmful speech on one hand and free speech on the other. And in the book, I go into detail about exactly how we should do that.
如果说严格的审核制违反了这个言论自由的话，那我们既保持言论自由，同时又能够在不违反言论自由情况下保持一定的审核，怎么来做到这件事情，也是我们接下来讨论的一个焦点。那首先要从由谁来掌管这个界限的标准讨论起。
Yep, I think that is one of the most important questions facing our democracies and our regulation of technology going forward. And I think that you're asking the absolutely right question, because some people might ask, where is the line? But I think a much more important question is who gets to draw the line? And in a TED Talk that I gave in 2018, which now more than 2 million people have seen, I described how difficult that question is. And in my opinion, this line should not be drawn by the executive branch or by politically appointed commissions. It needs to be drawn in the most representative and deliberative bodies that we have available to us. In the United States, that is Congress and through case law in the courts. In Europe, that would be parliaments. In other parts of the world, whatever are the most deliberative and representative bodies are the places where these lines should be drawn. 5-person politically appointed commissions, for instance, in the United States, like the FTC or the FCC, are not the right places to draw these lines, because those are highly politicized and politically appointed commissions.
好，以上就是今天的内容，明天我们将会继续讨论，谢谢您的收看。
Casting down any among us who have bucked and cowed. Enough with tyranny, we come to take our country back. For all citizens, white, red, brown, or black. Return her to a former glory, fix their bloody crack on the crown.